Battle Axe Theater contains vaping, which is not as cool as smoking, vulgar language, which is not as cool as nudity, and drinking, which is sort of cool. In other words, viewer discretion is advised.
Battle Axe Theater, that's a good name.
Battle Axe, man, he brought the preach video.
Battle Axe Theater.
Death from Battle Axe. I don't know if you guys have seen, he just rants, and it's awesome. And he just starts screaming and yelling. I need to have a beer with that guy.
Gotta remember to do that transition, man. I always fuck that up. What is up, everybody? Happy Monday. Focus camera. Happy Monday. My name is Punk Shoe. I'm here with my boy Def.
Yo, 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 everybody. Happy Monday. It's Monday. No one likes Mondays, but at least you get to hang out with us on Mondays, right?
Yeah, that's cool.
I mean, that's even more depressing, right?
I wouldn't want to hang out with us on Mondays. But anyway, I'm Punk and this is Def. We're here with Battle Axe Theater. Tonight we're going to talk a little bit about questing and MMORPGs. We're going to talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, and how questing changed the name of the game with its introduction into a system in more modern MMORPGs. So to get things started tonight and get things kind of just rolling along, we usually do a segment called the Weekend Rear View. I don't have a sound effect that anybody really wants to listen to. Well, I don't know. You liked it, didn't you?
Oh, wait. Yours?
I deleted it, dude.
Oh, man.
Shit. Anyway, if I find it while you're telling me and them about your week, I'll roll it. What is up, everyone in chat? I'm going to give you guys time to hop in here. I see we got Fell, Spine, Ren. Thank you guys for showing up and giving us your support. But with the Weekend Rear View, this is our segment where we talk about what we did for the past week because we're a Monday stream, not a Friday stream. So when you are all cleaned up there, Def, why don't you tell us a little about what you did this last week?
Well, right now I just spilled juice all over my hand, my keyboard, my desk. So don't vape, guys. It's not always fun and games. And it's cringy. Anyway, this week, what did I do? What did I do, bro?
I don't know. What did you do? I don't know what you did.
I don't think I did jack.
Nothing at all. He didn't do anything, guys. He's just one of those sheeples. Like he got up, went to work, and doesn't remember his week.
Okay, I worked on some of the video that we had planned. We had planned for last week, but didn't get to go out, and I know you'll probably touch on that later. But we do have a video coming out for sure this Friday, if everything goes well. I worked on that a bit, and then I was prepping for Shadowbringers. So I jumped into the main story quest on Final Fantasy.
That you did.
And that is kind of what we're talking about is questing. So that's what I've been doing is a lot of questing. That's the only thing worthwhile I can think mentioning, man.
Yeah, I mean, that was kind of like a unexpected thing. Like you just hopped right in with your coffee and you were just having a good time. All right, guys, I'm going to roll this real quick. I'm sorry to interrupt, Def, but I found it. You ready?
Okay, go ahead, man.
I hope they can hear this.
Now it's time for the Weekend Rear View. Whoa, doggy.
Is it done?
It's done.
I couldn't hear it.
It's the same one that I showed you with that stupid truck.
The hillbilly one?
Yeah. Where I'm singing with it and then I choke at the end. I derailed everything already and we're 4 minutes into the stream.
Well, to be fair, I'm kind of distracted and I do apologize to everybody. This is just a nightmare, but I'm all cleaned up now. So
you hear that, ladies? He cleans up after himself.
Yeah.
God damn it.
But anyway, what did you do this week?
Well, a lot of the same thing that you did. I don't remember the first half of my week. Well, actually, all right, that's a lie. Okay, so I don't know if I've really talked about too much about what I do, but over here you can kind of see some computer cases and stuff. I kind of upcycle computers, so I buy used workstations and I recycle them into gaming computers and I resell them. And it's kind of like a mission to introduce PC gaming to the masses, those people that are playing on consoles and stuff like that want to dabble at a reasonable price. So I sell inexpensive used gaming systems, and I also get some of that e-waste off the market and back in the hands of somebody who would use them for a couple of years. So I had a really, really busy week in that department, had a few systems that moved, and had to get some other parts ordered, other refurb systems to work with. So that was really busy in that department, but I'm very happy about that because money.
Monies!
But so did that. I've been playing Project Gorgon quite a bit. I kind of fell in love with that, but that's basically the gist of it. It's just a game that we're playing right now. More to come on that later.
We did play this weekend. I did forget to mention that.
We did play quite a bit. Now we did something that was really cool yesterday, and you're the Pantheon guy. Like I'm all about Pantheon too. Like I'm really looking forward to it, but really I'm looking forward to it just as much as I am any of these other IPs that are going to be coming out. But you're really you're that Pantheon guy. Like you're super excited for it. So why don't you tell them a little about what we did yesterday?
Well, it was kind of a last minute deal. It was the content creators of Pantheon. They're all coming together because of Pantheon's whole deal is community matters. And so the guys over at VOT, Voice of Terminus, I always mess that up. Anyway, they decided it'd be kind of cool to once a month have some of the content creators come together, and even people that are excited about the game who want to come on and all just kind of get together and hang out and talk about Pantheon. And minus he's been busy in real life with the move and all that, so it wasn't as promoted as a normal thing. So it was kind of last minute, and then we got asked to go on, and then we did it, and it was a lot of fun, and it got dare I say it got real towards the end.
A little bit.
Yeah, so it was really fun though. It was kind of cool, and I know I'm getting a little personal here, or not personal, but I'm getting real here. It was kind of cool to see other people feel the same way that we have been feeling. But I mean, check it out. It's on Minus's Pantheon Plus's YouTube. But it was a good conversation. It was kind of cool to see what other people are interested to play in Pantheon and why. But it was fun.
Yeah, I definitely had a lot of fun. When we first got asked about it, I know you and I were just kind of having our coffee and waking up, and I was like, I don't know that I really want to do this because it was kind of last minute for me, and I wasn't at all prepared. But, going on and doing it, I think it was a much needed return to the Pantheon universe for us because we've been kind of absent from it for a minute.
Yeah,
and,
the last
good.
video we had was talking about Pantheon being fun for everyone,
Right.
and not just having this barrier to where, if you don't like old school games, you can't play this, go back to WoW, scrub,
Right.
And that's, I think that's bad for any game. And, I think I mentioned that on the stream, but, it's because we haven't been doing a lot of Pantheon content, that doesn't mean we're not excited for the game. It's just, we need
stuff to talk about, guys, and that's what was brought up at the end of that stream yesterday.
Yeah, and when we come up with videos, you always tell me, we need our video something with substance. We need
Right.
some like hard facts, or something that will actually be worth the viewer watching and getting some information or something.
Right, exactly.
And that's not to knock on anybody, because it's fun speculating about a game that you're excited about.
It's just not our style. Like from an infotainment standpoint, we're not just here to entertain, and we're not here to just give you bland information. We want to give you correct information that is full of substance, but in an entertaining manner. And it's hard to do that when all we're getting is like these low-hanging fruit.
Yeah. Not to say that we don't love the game, not to say that we're hating on the game, but we're not Pantheon focused. We're Pantheon excited.
Hashtag.
But we're also Pantheon patient. So, and we'll touch more on that at a later time.
And we'll talk about that toward the end of the video or the end of the stream tonight. So moving into the topic of tonight, again, we're going to be talking about questing. Before we get rushed into that, if you guys are interested in checking out Pantheon Plus, you can just search them up on YouTube, Pantheon space plus, or you can look them up on Pantheon.plus. Pantheon.plus is their website, and that's what Pantheon Plus is primarily a resource for content creators, or for people to get their information from content creators specifically regarding Pantheon. And I'm sure you'll find that up there soon, and if not, you could find that on their YouTube page. But there's tons and tons of stuff to watch on Pantheon Plus from all of our favorite content creators like Nathan Napalm, Minus and Hayab with Pantheon Plus,
Standing
Micah,
Fire.
Yeah. So there's all kinds of stuff on there to check out. So moving into the topic, I want to talk about questing. And I think one of the things that I really wanted to focus on, I told Def before the show here, there's two major points that I want to bring to the table. Is I want to emphasize what questing used to really be about in those classic MMOs. And I want to talk about how the culture and the face of MMOs has changed because of questings, because the introduction of a certain type of questing system with a particular MMO, which we'll talk about. And I think you guys already know, but we're going to circle back to that here in a little bit. I wonder what game did that. It had its
got a question
places.
mark
Anyways.
above my head right now. I don't know.
Jesus Christ. All right, so the first thing I want to talk about is the emphasis on what a quest is. When I think quest, I like fantasy. I don't really like to read a whole lot because I like to consume visually and auditorily, but I did read Tolkien when I was younger. I was a big fan of the Redwall series, which is, the personification of rodents and things in a fantasy environment. It was really cool. I like some Spaceys type stuff. But either way, when I think of a quest, I think of Khaleesi barking as loud as she can.
Can you hear that? Felicia, shut up! Sorry, guys. That's my little dog.
It's all good, dude. But I really think, and I'm sorry, Ren, man, I'm really trying to get through that book, but I'm just so slow because I guess I have some sort of form of dyslexia, but we'll talk about that in private at some point. But, so I think about the quest, and this is something that was brought up in a Mondays and MMORPGs over on Saga of Lucimia. And this is one of the articles that I read that was like, I want to play this fucking game. And I've put it in the description. It's Mondays and MMORPGs, the Milk Run. And it talks about the principle of an epic quest versus a milk run. Go get me 10 boar ears or boar hooves versus, deliver this ring to the fiery pits of Mordor. Like, there's a big difference. And when I think questing and classic MMOs, I think those more epic storylines. Like, I think about the epic storylines of, different level caps in Final Fantasy XI. I think about your artifact armor in Final Fantasy XI. And I was kind of hoping you could tell us a little bit about your remembrance of questing from the EQ1 era back when you played back in, the late 90s, early 2000s.
Well, I can tell you this. It was non-existent to my knowledge. Like, I'd have to like discover it. You know what I mean? I would have to like realize if I hail this NPC, he's going to talk back to me. And then take it a step deeper. You have this dialogue of text, and then you got to type in the keyword to get the proper response.
That's so much like an old school MUD, but continue.
But like, and correct me if I'm wrong, Chad, if anyone knows, but I think back in the day, they didn't even I know they didn't highlight the text. I think it might have been in brackets for you to respond with that word. But I remember early on having to find guides on, man, I can't even think of some of the old EQ resources. But you would have to type out the sentence with a question mark, and like get that dialogue correct. And when you talk about quest meaning something, and I know you didn't play EQ back in the day, and you had me playing Final Fantasy XI with you. and because that was your jam back in the day.
Right.
Um, if we ever had time to game and like really dive into like P99, the one thing I would want to do is it would be to take you on an epic weapon quest, because that
You
is
keep saying that.
something.
You always tell me that, dude.
I know, man, but it's cool. It's something to set a goal,
Right.
something to do, an accomplishment. Um, and what's cool about that is some of those items, for example, the Necromancer Epic, I still would use in retail EQ because of the focus effect. No item that I know of course I don't really play retail, would trump that fucking epic, man. And that goes for all the items. They all have like clicky effects on them. Like the cleric epic, for example, is a 96% res, mana free res. And you just keep it in your inventory. It's just stuff like that, that makes it worthwhile putting in the hours and hours or days, however long it takes to achieve that quest. And then the fucking J-Boots quest. Anyone that played EverQuest knows about J-Boots. Right clicks out, and you had two locations to get the ancient Cyclops dead. And it was always permacamp, so you had to like really be dedicated to get that fucking item.
Now, was that a quest or was that just a farm drop?
No, that was a quest.
Oh, okay.
It was a unique quest. In fact, you had to give a fast NPC, I can't remember the name, you had to chase him down and give him like X amount of a coin, but in copper. So it'd be like 200 plat in copper or some
So you were weighed
like
down
that.
and shit.
Yeah. And
Oh my god.
It was just little unique, but they took the mechanics that they had and made it really work,
Yeah.
as far as questing. But every quest that you did in EverQuest, at least back in the day, was worth it. The reward was worth it. It was a lot of work, but it was worth it,
Now, when we talk about the work, like obviously being those older classic style MMOs, well, not style, they were the classic MMOs, things were more difficult as a whole in the game. But what about the story that was associated? So I know that you're saying that the rewards were meaningful, but the story in of itself, like how did that feel?
Well, back in the day, as I got older, like a couple of, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago, I did my Shaman Epic, and I actually read everything.
Okay.
All the text base. When I was younger, I didn't give a shit. I just wanted to say the keywords and get on with it. But the lore in EverQuest was never really precise. I don't think they intended for the game to take off like it did, but I don't know. I don't want to talk shit. I don't know. But I do know the Shaman Epic Quest, the dialogue and the lore was pretty damn cool.
Well, I mean, was it a bunch of fetch quests, or was it like go do something super cool and epic, bring me back something cool, and then go do more of that?
A lot of it is spawning a mob that's on a ridiculous spawn time. I mean, it could be a several day spawn time, and that is something I don't know would fly in 2019, just because there's a lot more people playing online games now.
Right.
But even back then, that was just kind of the headache part of it, like, and you would have to get your guild. There's no queuing for dungeons or anything to get a drop. You had to have a guild that would support you and take you to defeat this mob, and then they had to actually be able to defeat the mob for you to get the drop. I remember my guild taking me to get my Monk's Epic, and I remember farming one drop, I think it was in Lower Guck, for like 3 weeks, man, just constant, and I would never get that drop because as soon as I go to sleep, someone would be waiting to replace my spot,
Yeah.
And I kind of miss that, but realistically, in today's setting, I don't know if I would be down.
I don't think it would really work, especially with as many people that do play these days, because there'd be saturation because you have so many people spread across the gamut, especially if you have a lot of players in a very popular game that you're fighting over spawns and things like that. It just wouldn't function. But there's so much more to it, right? It's not just about that spawn. It's about like, did you have something else to add?
Well, I just thought of a cool idea.
What's that?
Like I was mentioning the J-Brutes quest, and so you had to defeat an ancient Cyclops, I believe that's the name. But you could go to the Ocean of Tears. That's where you drowned in P99 because you fell off the boat because the boat was glitched. I remember that night.
We will never forget that night, but continue.
You were so pissed, dude.
Dude.
I like shrunk in my chair. I'm like, yeah, this is EQ, man. Sorry. But you could also go to the Desert of Oasis, and I just thought of that. Like, if a game wanted to do this old style of questing, why not have multiple areas in a zone that it's just as hard to get, but there's multiple places to get that item? I think that'd be cool.
Yeah, and I really dig how the application of dynamic spawn points and things like that could fit in too, because you could always say like, this dude could spawn one of 5 places in the world, and you have 5 different zones across the continent. And first you've got to go discover, a random, like maybe each zone has like a different type of NPC that you would normally talk to get information about the area. And they could tell you whether or not they've been seen. And then you can go talk to another dude that gives you a general direction where he may have been seen. And then you find the spawn point. It kind of gives you, it's like a time sink, but like an epic, meaningful time sink. Like you're not just doing like, I got to go and wait for a spawn timer. It's like, you can go and then maybe the spawn timer's shorter, but now it spawns with, in any one of 5 places in the world. So I think that could be kind of cool. But back to what I was saying, like these games, they would do these, like at least Final Fantasy would do like these, they were kind of fetchy where like, go get a thing and then open a thing and bring it back to me. But it wasn't just like, well, I'm making a pie. Go catch me 10 apples and bring me them apples and then I'll give you a pie. Like it wasn't.
How about them apples, bitch? That's what you would say when you bring them back. I don't know.
It wasn't one of those though. It was. I need you to go get this key, and then take this key and go unlock this, mysterious coffer that we've heard about, and we've heard adventurers hearsay from other adventurers that in the lost tombs of King Rompir, you can open up this chest, and then there's a particular item. I need you to bring that back to me so I can forge an item for a ritual for you to go take somewhere else, so that you can utilize it to defeat an enemy, so that way you can get the first part of your epic sword,
Yeah.
Like that's what I loved about old quests. And in the link, guys, you'll find that in the description, you'll find that link to the milk run topic that Ren was talking about, where, we've got these milk runs where it's just go kill 10 deer and come back to me. Like how fucking stupid is that? Like the adventurers should feel a need to kill those deer. You're not go kill those deer because I said so. Go kill them deer. Go kill those deer, so that way you're getting venison to cook. You're getting bones for some sort of bone craft. That you're getting skins and hides to do things with. You're getting antlers to do some sort of bone craft, weaponry craft type thing. Like, give the player incentive to go do that, so there's some sort of epic outcome. It's not just busy work, because I can tell you, as a teenager in high school, I hated nothing more than busy work, because it was such a fucking waste of time. If you had to go home and do busy work for homework, even though you already knew the damn subject, you weren't challenging the student. And it goes the same way in MMORPGs. And what's up, Nathan and Juice? Thanks for joining us. Looks like we've got a couple other people that have joined us too. Don't see your names in chat, and unfortunately YouTube sucks with letting us know who's here, but welcome regardless.
Yeah. But as you were describing that, Ren was saying you're describing an epic quest in EverQuest. So, dude, we got to do it one day. We got to do it one day. I'm gonna bug you until you do it one day.
Well, we should do a video like a call to action video one week where we shout out to the internet to make us famous, and then maybe we can afford to have time to fucking play all these goddamn games we want to play. But yeah, I know we have plans to one day hopefully get with Renfail and maybe some other people from SOL or Pantheon community, whatever, and play some EverQuest on Project 99. So that would be super cool to at least do that, because you get that at in the 40s, right? Something like that? Or is it 50s?
Oh man, Ren, when can you start your epic weapon quest? I think it's 50. I think you have to be 50. It's been so long. See, that's the thing, dude. I started in vanilla EQ, but I really didn't start playing until like right before the launch of Luckland.
Okay.
So if I play P99, there's going to be some aspects that I haven't even got to experience.
So it's sort of a new experience for you in general.
If I was starting Project 99, it would be, yes.
Whereas when we play Final Fantasy in the Somi, I pretty much know everything because that was my era.
Yeah,
Okay.
pretty much.
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll make a deal. I will invest time at some point once we finish this project that we're working on when we've got that community time, and I will do some P99 throughout the week to try to get to where we can do that epic quest so I can at least experience the quest line, provided we'll have a full party experience. That would be super cool. So it's not just two dudes trying to get some shit done. But you have to play Final Fantasy with me. And
I did, bro.
No.
Every Friday night.
You have to play Final Fantasy with me long enough that you can experience the entire artifact quest line, and that is up to maximum level 60. Now you're almost there. You're like, I think we got 30 the last time we were playing, or close to it, 27. You got to get 30 to unlock Paladin, and then we got to level Paladin up to level 60. And the reason why I say this is because it's not one sword. You have a sword quest that rolls into a shield quest for your first artifact armor. But it's Final Fantasy, dude, so you know there's an epic storyline there. You know that it's not only epic, but it's very flavorful and rich because it comes from a company that writes nothing but fucking epic storylines. Well, in the past they did. Not so much these days, but they're still
There you
pretty
go.
on it.
Nathan said he'll play Final Fantasy with us.
There you go. And these guys know what I'm talking about. Like, you haven't experienced anything until you've gone and you've done your artifact, and then you push. And, like, you get to the point where, like, if you don't have help from higher levels, you have to have a full party of like-minded individuals that are looking to get their artifact quest finished. And when you're done, not only have you gotten to the point where you're like, okay, I'm a paladin, this story has become more epic. Now you get this, I know you're not much of a Final Fantasy fan because you never really played it, but you get the iconic armors, dude. Like, you get the armor that you saw in all the classic games, like your thief armor, which was like your green with brown pockets and their knives that they've got. You got the paladin, which is all
we're
glowy.
using our live show as our jab back and forth Final Fantasy 11 versus EverQuest. And we got people in chat, like Ren's about P99, and then you got Nathan. It's worth getting balls deep, Daph. You got to do it.
But that's the thing, like, we don't really have time for anything beyond that. So it'd have to be like with our new format, and we've got some downtime. We put in that grind, during community time, and just play it every single night for an entire month until we get to that point. And if we don't, we wait a couple months and we try it again and pick up where we left off until we get it. So that way we can say it's been done,
It's really a downtime thing. I mean, because I know if I got sucked into P99, I would be like, all in, wouldn't want to do YouTube, and I would just be like, I would be all in.
Honestly, dude, I was kind of the same way. Like, when we were playing it, I actually had the itch to play it again, and I went to load it up, but when I installed Reborn, I fucked up some installation somehow with P99. So, but either way, like, I tried to load it up a while ago when you weren't around, like you were gone for the night or something, and I was bored. I actually wanted to play it, so don't feel disappointed. But like, we want to play these games, both of them, because of these quests. So, like, this is not, like, we're not really on a tangent. We're kind of on a tangent, but we're not really, because the intensity of these quests is what makes us want to play these games, because there's that sandbox experience with some actual, Lord of the Rings type story, and you're experiencing that on multiple instances throughout the game.
Yeah. Well, you got people vouching for you, so I'll give it a shot one day.
I know it's hard to get past, like, the cartoon style graphics and the cat ladies and stuff like that, and I know that's a barrier of entry. And the little kids. That's a barrier to entry to so many people. I know Spine, who, I don't know if he's still in chat, but he was not really interested in trying Final Fantasy 14 with us because it's just really not like his style. And I know for sure Reeve doesn't want to play Final Fantasy 14 with us.
Well, I didn't either. That was my main. I'm not a big anime guy. There's a few animes I've seen. I have respect for it, but I don't like that style in an MMO. But if it wasn't for you making me try Final Fantasy 11, but first I tried Final Fantasy 14, and I'm
Right.
like, I made a fucking human, because it's the only thing I liked. And then I went to 11, and it was okay. But since I've got involved with 11, I went back to 14, and then I fell in love with 14,
Right.
and the style just kind of grew on me, you know.
Just so you Final Fantasy 11 fans are aware, the only thing we did was level in Valkyrie Dunes and level a little bit in Qufem. So he's seen the dunes, he's seen Juno, but he has not experienced any level cap quests. He has not experienced any artifact quests. He hasn't done any of the main story quests and the nation missions. So
Call me out, bro.
I'm just letting them know what you haven't seen. And just like EverQuest, the only thing that I've seen is Butcher Block. Wait, no,
Crushbone.
Crushbone. Yes, I've
Yeah.
seen that whole area, and I fell off a boat, so I've seen more of the ocean of tears than I ever want to again.
Yeah, you went balls deep in that ocean, man.
But yeah, I don't think we're gonna get to fight Mott, dude, because Nathan Mott is. I mean, it's level 70 cap, and we're playing on Nozomi, so you know how that is, a little bit more slow going. But I'd at least like him to experience the level 50 cap, and then do the artifact quests up to 60, so that way he can be a big ass fat Galka Pally with his white fucking badass armor and that big ass shield just looking like a fucking beast. Anyway, yes, questing and those old games were fun. So we're about halfway through here. Let's talk a little bit about what changed with questing. And I think you guys are all going to know what I'm about to say here is World of Warcraft.
Ew, dude.
What did you just say, punk? World of Warcraft changed questing as we know it. And if you tell me that you were not open to the idea of what you were experiencing the first time you ever played World of Warcraft, you would be lying to me, because that questing system was a complete change of pace for what we were used to. And if you ever made a character and you had alts and things like that, the experience of doing those quests, whether it be old style or new style, it diminishes in quality. So you basically, you're skipping through everything, and it's kind of slow going. The obligatory, like Def said, going and spawning a mob, waiting 6, 8, 12, 24 hours for it to spawn, to be able to progress further in your life on your character. It gets tiresome and old sometimes. So being able to jump into a game and go quest to quest to quest to quest, there's always some sort of direction that leads you somewhere. And old school WoW is a little bit different, because you could out-level a zone through questing before the quest chains were done, and you were always anticipating it. But there is a flaw with that, right? But before we do that, what did you think about questing when you first loaded up and you had that experience with questing in World of Warcraft, Def?
Well, it's something I said a couple streams back. Like, back in the day when WoW was new, it was a cool concept for the mere fact that you could log on, get a couple of quests done, and then you feel accomplished, right? Because back then it was a new thing. It wasn't like now where, you know, a new expansion comes out and you got to quest this whole zone, you know what I mean? And just like rush through the thing. Back then it was just like a new thing. So like killing the milk runs, that was kind of new, you know? So it wasn't that big of a deal. Like, are you telling me all I have to do is kill 20 fucking boar? Hell yeah. I'm going to go kill 20 boar. That's going to get me some XP, and then I'm going to turn it in. I get some more XP, you know, because you have games like Final Fantasy 11 and EverQuest, and I can't speak for UO and Dark Age of Camelot and all that because I didn't play them, but it was all about the XP, man. The sweet, sweet XP.
That's all it was, because the focus was on the end game, and it was like level as fast as you can, and here's your mechanic. Like, it wasn't about doing the dungeons. Like, the dungeons existed, but they weren't like readily available. It wasn't really trying to push you there if you didn't actually quest out the entire zone. Because normally, like, if you leveled 1 to 12, like, that was the zone. Once you got 12, you went to another zone, but the zone that you were in could take you to 14 before it was like, oh yeah, by the way, there's a dungeon here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I thought. Like, this is cool, man. I can play for 30 minutes and get several quests done, and then, you know, log off because I gotta go work or go to school or whatever, you know, whatever you gotta do. So in that aspect, it was new and it was cool. But as time went on, it's like, God damn it. I got a fucking quest. I don't want a fucking quest.
You know what's the weird thing for me was, like, I was fine with it until about 2/3 of the way through Wrath of the Lich King. And so, like, it was a really cool concept when it came out in vanilla. And I was dabbling on my brother-in-law's account. When I finally got my own account, I made my hunter. And within 3 weeks, I was level 51. And that was unprecedented for me because it took me 4 years to get max level on my Dark Knight on the original Final Fantasy XI. So to be able to accomplish something in less than a month where you're 9 levels away from cap, I hit 51 and I was like, this is boring. Because all I'm doing is questing and I'm sitting around waiting and anticipating for the next zone because the old school MMO player in me is looking for that exploration. Like, I want to go explore that next zone. I don't want to finish out the fucking quest line that keeps drolling on and on here. So,
Yep.
I mean, that was pretty much where that was. So I just dumped it. But then when I went back for Burning Crusade and I started really playing full time, I just kind of went with it. And then I got into raiding, which kind of, you know, at that time I didn't have a lot of ults because, like you said, you know, you had to do your thing on the game and then you had to go to work or whatever. But it gave me that time where I could, like, you could get 2 levels a day with an hour, 2 hours of casual gameplay.
You know, Minus mentioned something about, well, Minus and Nathan are talking about dungeons and dungeon crawling and stuff like that.
Right.
So it, like, WoW started this whole quest movement. They kind of started this whole questing and made it mainstream, right?
Exactly.
But the dungeons, that's where it wasn't like an MMO anymore. Maybe WoW Classic, maybe, but I miss, like, EverQuest, and maybe it's because EverQuest was so old that, you know, you got a text-based map, so you can't see every little aspect when you pull up your map. So it makes it feel like you don't know what's around that corner, you know? And I love that. I love, like, getting on EQ at, like, 8 o'clock and, like, hey, let's go check out Blood Moon Keep. And then, like, 10:30, you get, like, at the bottom layer. And,
Right.
and that's where I came from the EverQuest background, is grinding, like getting a group and grinding that XP. Whereas in WoW, you have these quests, you quest for that XP. You know what I mean? It's just, you grind quest instead of mobs.
Yeah. I will say, though, that, you know, when we're talking about old school WoW dungeons, they're very much the same as you see them now. They weren't as easy. There was some level of difficulty. Dead Mines was very long.
Bigger.
They were huge back then.
Yeah.
Like Dead Mines and Wailing Caverns, they took you a long time to run back then. Each one would take you about an hour, and people just didn't know what the fuck they were doing. They had this epic feel. They had these little events that you had to do within the dungeon to go to the next part of the dungeon. But it was very much the same. It was take your 5-man party, do a little summon doodad, you know, get them to the summoning stone, you summon your party, and then you guys work your way into the dungeon. You get to the dungeon, and it's instanced. You don't have to worry about anybody else joining your instance, and you can do your thing and get through it. But if you guys haven't seen it, for those of you watching, if you check out our channel after this vodcast, we have a video on EverQuest 2 that talks about the dungeon mechanics, and that's what, like, I had never seen dungeons like that because Final Fantasy XI didn't have dungeons to that extent back when I played it. A dungeon was kind of like an area. It was like its own zone, but it didn't feel dungeon crawly. It was kind of just like, you know, a Beastmen tribe or something like that. But when I played Final Fantasy or EverQuest 2 with Minus and Militus and Def and Nathan, a bunch of other people from the community, it was a whole life-changing experience. And I was like, Def, we got to make a video on this because it felt like we were a group of adventurers that are on an epic quest, and we just found this dungeon, and we've got to find out what's in it. And I don't think we ever completed a single dungeon because we never got to see the end.
Completely, fully, yeah.
Yes, because it was just so forever and ever and ever, and we never found the end of it. And the levels range from like 12 to 40.
And it's open world dungeons. That's what I miss. I like seeing another group in this corner tackling some stuff. You know what I mean?
Right.
I think that's cool. It makes it feel more MMO-y, if that's a word.
Guys,
MMO-y.
I don't want to talk about Dire Maul because it's gonna get my head spinning. Did you ever do Dire Maul back in the day, dude?
In time walking.
Dire Maul East, West, North, and South. If I'm not mistaken, there were 4 dungeons or 3. I can't remember. And you've probably done the revamped versions that were
Shortened down.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, Dire Maul back in the day was like a 10-man raid. It was insane. And then there was one type of run that you could do where you didn't even kill the bosses. Like you found ways to manipulate the dungeon in a way that you didn't actually kill the bosses. And once you became king of Dire Maul, you could then go back and get this chest that had even better loot in it, depending on how many bosses you spared. So it was crazy, and it'll make your fucking head spin. It really will. Very much in a way that UBRS, are you familiar? Upper
Yes.
Blackrock.
Mm-hmm.
So back when it was UBRS and LBRS, but it was one dungeon. You went in the dungeon, and you could do LBRS and UBRS in a single run because it was one dungeon just split up by which direction you went.
And see, I know you're going to go with Classic and hang out with Saga peeps, and I'm thinking about it, dude.
You should.
Because I'm
should.
thinking about it. I just, the whole time factor thing.
Yeah.
That's my only thing.
Well, here's something I want to propose to the people in chat. I know we only got 11 people here right now, but those of you that are watching this on demand, where you're watching the recorded video, and those of you in chat, let us know in chat. Let us know in the comments when you see the recorded video. Would you like to see us do any kind of vanilla classic content? Because we could potentially dedicate an entire series to vanilla WoW and talk about the experience where we don't just talk about vanilla, like it'll be focused on vanilla, but we can talk a lot about historically, like really get in depth about with numbers and analytics,
concepts
about how WoW did in and of itself change the face of MMORPGs. So if it's something you'd like to see us do, please let us know. Otherwise, we're slightly disinclined to do it because it is WoW, it is a juggernaut, and not very many people want to hear about WoW, but WoW Classic does have a little bit of appeal to the community that follow us here.
Yeah, and now WoW Classic is kind of, I guess you could deem it as old school.
Right.
Like it came out in 2004.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So it's kind of 5 years after the launch of EverQuest. So it's old.
Yeah.
So it kind of falls into what we do here. I wouldn't be opposed to it, but it's fucking Blizzard, man.
Yeah, that's the only thing. So Def and I have really talked about this, and we want to put our money where our mouth is, and we don't really want to pay for the classic WoW experience, but we also don't want to deny the ability to play with our other individuals from our community that are interested in playing vanilla WoW just to play it. I mean, the nostalgia is going to wear off in about 10 minutes for me.
Yeah.
But
I said that very negatively, but I will say this about WoW. And we met all of our people from Battle Axe, and what we were before Battle Axe. That's where we met a lot of our friends. And it is something that is kind of it's a gathering game, Everybody can pop in. It's, the loading is smooth, even though it's older. It's just a game where everybody can just pop in and go out and tackle something. I guess technically you could do that with any game, but I'm just saying WoW is kind of cool in that regard.
I think there's almost like I want to put a nail in the coffin, if that makes any sense for us. I want to put the whole subject to rest unless it comes up, with an unbiased conversation, because that's what we strive for here. And let's be real, WoW changed the face of MMOs. It made it more accessible to more people. It made it more accessible to casuals. It made it accessible to people that didn't know how to play MMOs or didn't know they were an MMO player. And now you see those same people, they quit back in Wrath of the Lich King to go play EverQuest, because they found out what an MMO was, and they found out they wanted a more hardcore experience, and they were enjoying it. So I would not be opposed to doing like an 8-video series that talks about, the disruption of the industry with its release, how it came into fruition, the IP, because like anybody who has been a Blizzard fan knows that back in the day, their games were the shit. Like their games were really good IPs, and to convert that into an MMORPG and be one of the first to really bring that to the masses was kind of cool. So I wouldn't mind doing a series where we kind of, tack that in. And I don't know how the fuck this relates to questing, but
this is what we do, man. We get off topic all the damn time, man. No. Well, I guess it kind of fits in questing, right? If you go to WoW Classic, you're gonna be questing.
Yeah,
There you
they
go.
should have called WoW Classic EverQuest, and then called EverQuest like Everdrind.
Evergrind.
There, Evergrind.
That's what a lot of people did. Evercrack or Evergrind.
I've heard Evercrack a lot because it was addicting to those that were into it back in the day.
Oh, dude.
But in
I had a
terms,
problem.
bringing it back a little bit, like in terms of questing, like there
Evercamp.
there was a huge disruption in MMORPGs with this questing system. So we talked about the rating system and how it changed it, and questing as a core concept, it was a means that facilitated the quick leveling process that was expected in WoW, because the whole focus of WoW and its development was these big ass world bosses, these big ass dungeons, these big ass bosses that were, the mechanics were really well defined and implemented, that were a lot different than what we experienced in the classic MMORPGs when we were playing them, like EverQuest and Final Fantasy.
Yeah. Sorry, I'm replying to chat.
Yeah, you good?
Yeah.
God damn it. But yeah, and often there were quests that were associated with it. You remember how you had a gnat? I have a gnat. I want to fight it. But yeah, so like I almost kind of want to go back to that WoW experience, the classic, and see if questing really was like, see what it inspires in me, since we've been so disconnected from it for the last couple of years. And see if like getting back into the old classic style of questing really was that big of a game changer, if just because it was so new, like it was this different thing.
I'll tell you what, and we can look at ESO, for example. I hate to admit this to the internet, but I never played an Elder Scrolls game. I played ESO, and I fell in love with the immersion and how every single quest was voice active. You know, like you didn't have to read. You could just sit back and listen to the dialogue. It had great voice acting, and it really made you feel like part of it. And then you have Final Fantasy, the main story quest, which is really, really good. And it's so good, dude. Like when I got to the end of what's before Heavensward?
The end of A Realm Reborn.
The end of A Realm Reborn. I like when those cinematics kicked in, because like I really enjoyed it, and I'm like, holy shit, this is some Game of Thrones shit. But I did not pay attention. Like once I got halfway into that, I got tired of it, dude. I just wanted to click, 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 skim through some of the dialogue. I'm to that point in Heavensward right now. I know it's a good story. When the cinematics happen, I sit back, I watch them, I get the gist of it. But I was doing a couple of quests before we went live, and I'm like, click, click, click. I don't give a shit. I've been doing this for fucking 3 hours, you know?
Dude, you know where I think they dropped the ball with it is, instead of just sticking with this epic storyline, and instead of having 250 or 350 quests, whatever it was for Realm Reborn, they should have just done like 150 quests for the whole thing and made it to where it didn't feel like one quest.
Or 50, goddamn, 150 quests, man.
What I'm saying though is like, how many of those quests don't matter? The quest is go all the way across the world and talk to somebody, and you've got fast travel in that game, so it was fucking pointless. You didn't get anything out of it. And then there are so many milk run style quests. Like you're on this epic storyline, and the next thing you know, it splits into a 3-way. Hold on.
Mic bow. Is it broke?
I'm sorry, guys. If I blew up your heads, that's my bad. But it blew up into like this, 3-way quest thing where you've got to go help this militia over here do jack all. You got to go help these little kids find their dollies, and then up here you're like, I don't even know where to go for this quest because it doesn't even matter. And turns out that you actually can't do this quest up here until you do these ones that are over here. And it's like, what the fuck did you just waste my time for? I just spent an entire Saturday afternoon freaking jerking off to your like bad storytelling and bad game design. Like, give me that epic story and have it go into another epic story. And I don't mind if I have to go do Fates or go do Palace of the Dead or just go kill some mobs to level up a couple of levels to be able to do that story.
Yeah. Yeah, they definitely could have made it shorter because, I mean, don't get me wrong, for people who love a great story, Final Fantasy does a terrific job. Badass job. But don't lock them out, man. Yeah. Maybe at a halfway point, like let us go free and like unlock a certain part of the game,
I think
But
that's huge, dude. Like, just not being able to explore, I think that kills it.
Well, we got several people in Battle Axe playing the game,
Right.
but we can't really do anything right now until everybody gets caught up, and not everybody wants to spend fucking $20 a story and skip it, and they don't want to skip it. They want to experience it too, like
Yep.
it kind of sucks.
And I also don't like the pay gating. I don't know if you saw, but they adjusted their pay gating. So instead of everything being 25, it's like 25 for the newest one that, not Shadowbringers, but the newest one that you can skip. It's 18 for Heaven's Ward, and ARR is like $11 now. And there's the best value is an ARR, because you can just skip 300 quests, which is a huge time saver, but you'll have to go level up quickly. But they dropped the ball in exploration. Sure, you can run around in some of the zones, but if you're going into inter-expansion zones, you can't even do that. So if you want to go from an ARR zone into a Heaven's Word zone, you can't do that. Even if you manage to get there on your level 1 character and all that work you put in, you will not be able to go into that entrance of that zone until you've completed it. And they did it a step further during Heaven's Word, where they actually gated each zone by zone. There were some zones that you weren't even able to access until you were into a certain part of the main story quest, which kind of hindered even the stuff that came out during that expansion. So it really does suck that was done. And so the reason why this pertains to questing is because there's a right way to go about it, there's a wrong way to go about it, and then there's a what the fuck way to go about it. And I think Final Fantasy took that what the fuck route, because if you are a Final Fantasy fan like me, I'm a fucking diehard. Now granted, I'm not old school, but I've played almost all the Final Fantasy games that were released since 1997, and went back and played some of the old ones. And Final Fantasy Tactics and Final Fantasy VII are two of my all-time favorite games. Now, if you're a fan like me, you know that if you play a Final Fantasy MMO, you should expect story. But I shouldn't expect to have my arm twisted behind my back if I want to go experience the MMO elements of a goddamn MMO.
Yeah, it should be like an option. You know what I mean? It shouldn't be restricted.
And it was kind of like that in Final Fantasy XI. Like, you could go level up, but then you would get to a certain point where you couldn't do the quest to increase your level cap unless you went and you did like the missions and stuff. And by having those levels, you could get them through them fairly quickly. And they weren't like all these milk runny fetch quests that you have in Final Fantasy XIV. They were more in line with that epic story that you get with an EverQuest or a Final Fantasy. So it really, it just, I don't know, man. I'll
tell you what, man. Gorgon, that's been an experience. I'm really liking their direction of questing.
Right. And we won't talk too much about that, because then we won't have any content.
Yeah.
So,
I don't want to say anything, but dude, it's pretty cool.
So we've kind of wrapped up that topic. If you guys have any other points that you want us to bring up or you want to talk about, go ahead and start getting those in, because we do have a bit of a delay. So if you have any questions, concerns, comments, shoot those our way. So moving on to, the quest, off of the questing thing a little bit. Yes, I do remember that, Nathan. You did have to stand there for a long time. And we actually had to do that again in Nozomi, because they had not implemented the hour turn-ins when we played it. So it's very interesting.
I remember doing that.
Yeah. Remember you took like 3 days to do it.
I know. I kept doing it wrong. I was going to the wrong NPC or something.
Yeah. And you told me something. I was like, oh, yeah, you're on the right step. And then found out you were talking to the wrong chocobo or something.
Yeah.
But anyway, so moving on from questing, if you have any other questions, comments, concerns about that after you've seen this video recorded, leave those in the comments. Start a conversation in the comments section with us and amongst yourselves, because this is a huge topic along with the rating topic that we discussed previously. But moving on from that, video, we started a video last week, and I think it's very important that we talk about it a little bit today. We're not going to talk too much about it, but after yesterday, if you decide to go and watch the Pantheon Plus stream, we talked about how, it's really hard to make content on an MMORPG but that is Pantheon, that you don't have, like you said, you're picking low-hanging fruit because there's no substance. They're not giving us enough to actually base our channel around. So we've kind of held off on making content and allowed, not allowed, but there's plenty of other people who cover that little bit of content. You can go to them and see them and show them your support, and we'll take a look at broader topics and things like that and try to figure out what the fuck we're doing with our lives. But
well, and I just want to emphasize that we love Pantheon. We're excited for Pantheon. We want to make content for Pantheon. But right now there's kind of a lull. There's a lull spike, and when we get some more juicy stuff or we get some details, then
right.
And we're coming out with a Pantheon video here around the corner. So it's not like we've stopped making Pantheon content,
right.
But we do want to have content with substance. That's something you're on my ass about all the time, because I'll flip the camera on and just start bitching. And then you're like, bro, you need to re-edit that and add some substance to it. And I'm like, okay.
Well, in short, though, guys, expect a Pantheon-related video from us this Friday. I won't disclose too much because I want you guys to be pumped for what it is, so be a little bit excited about it. It's more of a vague thing, sort of like our Fun with Friends that we did. It's that type of message where it's we're not going to make a guide on some sort of alpha thing. We're not going to speculate on any class mechanics or release dates or anything like that. But it's going to be a fun little video, so stay tuned for that. And I'm only telling you this because I know last Monday we said last Friday would be our last video, but some real life shit came up and we weren't able to get that done, so it'll be produced and ready for this Friday. And then we will be starting our break where we're playing Project Gorgon. So you're going to have a lot of exciting and fun things coming up over the next couple months. Starting in September, Battle Axe is going to be hitting it hard with an entirely new format. And I think you guys are really going to appreciate what can come from this, because it's going to really allow us to put extra time and effort into fully producing videos that really need a little bit more production time than some of the other videos that we produce that really don't need that level of polish.
Yeah, we get more time to really polish the production side of things. And just so you guys don't forget about us, we will still be doing this every Monday night.
Oh, so that's the only reason we do this, so they don't forget about us? I didn't want to talk to you anyway, bro.
Well, I'm just saying, I'm just letting them know every Monday night we'll still be doing Bat Live, and we'll be throwing the VODs up, having a conversation. If they want to jump in, they can jump in,
That is correct. So we will be here every Monday. If not, we will tweet out and let you guys know. And on that topic, if you're not already following us on Twitter and Facebook, be sure to check us out on those social media outlets. We're Battle Axe Theater on both Facebook and Twitter. If you want to join in the conversation outside of these streams, feel free to join our Discord. The links to all this stuff are in the description of the video, so feel free to pop in our Discord and join our Discord and join in that conversation. Maybe help us keep pushing it away from meme lord city and more into the realm of actual discussions. And it's, I want to thank everybody who has joined us, because we've really made a turnaround in that department. And lastly, if you guys could, please share us to other people. Like, I know that the vodcasts are long. I know not everybody likes a long format type auditorial experience or visual experience that we have here. But let people know that we exist, because we want to get, we talk about topics that I think are very important, that do have a lot of substance. And there's a discussion to be had there, but it's very hard to reach audiences that are out there. And people like Nathan and Minus and Standing in Fire and everybody that's been part of the Pantheon content creator community has done a great job pushing us out there. But we definitely want to reach other walks of MMORPG groups. And we want to see World of Warcraft and BDO and Guild Wars 2. Like, we want to talk to those audiences too, because we want to hear that side of the conversation. We want to hear those opinions, and we want to see some back and forth happening within our comments section. So please feel free to share our stuff with other people, so that way we can have better conversations.
We can start the conversation, because that's what we're about. I mean, I think that's what we've been about since we started this thing, was having a conversation. And if it's, I don't even want to use the word negative, but if it's people disagreeing with us, I want to hear that shit. You want to hear that shit, let us know what you think and why. That's like the whole point of half of what we do. I believe, like why do you disagree with this? Because it's not like we're gonna like snap back at you and be, you're full of shit, man. We're gonna like have a conversation and embrace it, and just have a conversation.
Absolutely, man, and that's what like I've said in the past, we do have biased opinions sometimes, but we want to try to deliver an unbiased experience, and that's why we talk a lot about the devil's advocate approach from that's different from our actual opinion on the matter, as we talk about why modern MMOs have their place and their mechanics and how they influence the industry and things like that. So please feel free to share this with your friends. I don't see any additional questions in chat. Do you have anything that you would like to add?
No, I just want to thank everybody for coming out tonight and everybody watching on YouTube. And I just want to say we appreciate you guys and show us some love.
Well, we know that you guys do, but just keep at it. We really appreciate it. Ren, thank you for that opportunity. We'll definitely take advantage of that in the future. Until next time, I'm Punk Shoe signing off. I will see you.
And I'm Def, and I'll see you too.
I don't know where that came from. That was like the worst goodbye ever. But
I know I wasn't ready for that cue, bro. I was like, yeah.
Anyway, see you next time, guys. Peace.
Later. Much love to you, Nate.